From the bridge at the Launchpad Studios in Huntington, New York, it's Sports Talk New York with your hosts, Mark Rosenman and AJ Carter. Sports Talk New York is sponsored in part by Cardboard Memories, Clearview, Long Island, the law firm of Decolator, Cohen, and DePrisco, the Phoenix Tube Company, PIMS Incorporated, fueling brand performance for 30 years, Prince Associates for all your insurance needs, and Soho Table Hockey. Here are your hosts, Mark and AJ.
And good Sunday evening to you. Mark Roseman, AJ Carter with you this Sunday evening. And I have to tell you, it is an absolute pleasure. And I don't even know.
But we are happy to have you back this week and feeling much better and doing much better.
Much better. It seems like forever since we've been here. You know, I guess we had the hurricane, we had other things. So
you mean the non-hurricane?
The non-hurricane, right? The rain out.
Rain out.
But it is definitely great to be here in the studio. It's great to be anywhere, as they say.
Right.
And it's great to be saying this. It's time now for the Major League Baseball report with John Carpenter, and it's sponsored by Cardboard Memories, which is one of Long Island's most reputable memorabilia retail stores for over 29 years. The owner of Cardboard Memories, Scott Stamell, is known for his knowledge and savvy of authentic autographs. He's been featured on HBO Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Cardboard Memories possesses the honesty and integrity one would want and need from a memorabilia source. Cardboard Memories is located at 6401 Jericho Turnpike, Comac, New York. Visit them on the web at cardboardmemories.com or follow them on Facebook or Instagram. John, I don't even know. Listen, I'll set the stage this way, and this is probably all you really need to know about the New York Mets. When I had to call my wife had to call 911, and the EMTs showed up, and it's unbelievable what happens in Melville. Half the population of Melville must be an EMT because there was like 20 EMT guys in my house. As they're taking my blood pressure, the guy turned around and saw the Met game on the television and basically said, "Oh, I see the problem. Let's turn off the Met game and you'll be fine." Someone also today in Newsday said it perfectly. He says, "I hate the Mets. I love the Mets. They're the most underachieving / overachieving team in baseball this season." And that really is the crux of it.
But the question is, how sustainable, John, is it when you blow 9-run leads and you follow it by the next day blowing a 4-run lead?
Well, first off, Mark, it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
And you missed a heck of a week, didn't you?
Well, no, I actually did.
He was actually watching. He was calling me from his hospital bed, talking about the game, saying, "I'm watching the games." And it was a mess. I'm saying, it's bad for you. Turn it off.
Yesterday, my friend Ken Ricken, and shout out to Kenny. He's the person that hooked me up with this cardiologist who really diagnosed what was going on. Yesterday during the 9-run meltdown where they blew that, I called him up and said, "Do you have his home number?" It's like, because it was just like it's just unbelievable. But here's the thing: this is what really bothers me. It's the fact that you salvage that game, okay, which could have been a huge disaster. You follow that up with the second game of the afternoon, and
you follow the script instead of saying what you have to do and saying you're in a pennant race. That's really a problem.
But the problem is Nimmo's out. Okay, so now you're missing a guy who's been really hot for you down the stretch and been doing some really great things for them. And Lindor hits a home run that wins that game for you, okay? You bench Lindor and you bench Javi Baez. You want to bench one of them and you say, listen, they're both coming off of injury, but you can't bench two of your best hitters when you're already minus one of your best hitters that's not available to you. I don't get that. And today, all season long, the effort has been never let the starters go the third time through the lineup. How many times have we seen Marcus Stroman? He pulled Marcus Stroman with a one-hit shutout. Right. All right, but Taijuan Walker is left out there after he's already given up 4 runs, third time through the lineup. He's not getting anybody out. I just don't understand the logic behind what Luis Rojas does.
So as Ricky Ricardo would say, not that Ricky Ricardo, splain, please.
It's you hit it on the head. And I think the problem with the Mets in general is that Rojas, like you said, sticks to the script. Yeah. And his decisions have no relation to feel for the game. I mean, consider and a friend of mine tweeted this 3 hours before it happened. At like 1:30, he said, "You watch. He's going to let Taijuan Walker, who struggled in the first inning, stay in this game until he blows the 6-3 lead." And that's exactly what happened. Now compare it to when Walker was cruising against the Giants.
Right.
And he pulled him in the 7th inning after he threw 6 pitches that inning.
And that's 60 pitches for the whole game. Yeah.
Right. He had 68 pitches going into the 7th inning in the game against the Giants. He threw 6 pitches in the 7th. He had the 2 soft singles, the 1 single and the 1 error, and he pulls them. But then today, he threw 8 pitches in the 5th inning after he had struggled earlier in the game, threw 8 pitches with Soto up, and then he leaves them in for Soto to get the single. And people are saying, well, it happened so quick. Well, it happened quicker in the game against the Giants, but he pulls them there, but he doesn't pull them today. Again, sticking to the script, sticking to lefty-righty matchups, no feel for the game. And maybe this is information overload from the front office. And Rojas has to constantly kind of explain why these moves are being made without really implicating his front office or throwing them under the bus. But a lot of them have to be him and his in-game decisions. He can't skirt responsibility for this. And that's my problem with Rojas. Too much sticking to the script.
Totally agree. Let's look at the other side of town before we let you go. The New York Yankees are sputtering a bit all of a sudden. Again, 2 teams here in New York. Obviously, the Yankees have a better record. Probably a tougher division this year for sure, but also very talented and underperforming. You take a look at it. I don't know if they're going to be able to take over first place, but they are sitting in
they're sitting in the first wild card spot.
But here's the question.
They're 5 games, about 5-6 games ahead on the 3rd team for the wild card spot.
But who's going to be their biggest opponent? Is the A's, the Mariners, or Blue Jays? Who's going to be the team that they need to stave off?
If I had to make a guess, and they've got a healthy lead against all of them, but if I had to make a guess at one of those teams that was going to make a run, I would say the Blue Jays, only because they got a talented lineup, and Robbie Ray has been incredible lately. He's been great in the month of August. He threw 6 2/3 shutout baseball today, or 6 1/3. I'm not sure, but Robbie Ray's been great. That's a young and talented lineup that could click at any time. Seattle's another possibility because they made a trade that everybody panned with the Graveman for Toro trade. But Toro's been great for them, and they and Toro hit a grand slam against Graveman. So that trade has worked out for them. But again, if I had to guess, I would say Toronto by a hair over Seattle.
And one question before we let you go. Did you have, at the beginning of the season, one of your predictions that Salvador Perez would be the all-time leading home run hitter by catcher in the season? I mean, he's got a good shot at doing this. I mean, the names that he's in now, company is unbelievable. Yeah, he's 4 away from Johnny Bench, who was at 45, and he's got a whole month to go. What an incredible year by Perez. And probably, maybe outside of George Brett, I would say he's the most beloved player in Royals history. They love him there. And I think
more than Freddie Patek.
That's so funny. I think
more than Freddie Patek and more than Buddy Biancalana.
What about UL Washington? UL Washington.
Perez has been on with the toothpick. Yeah.
Well, Dan Quisenberry. I think Quisenberry would be up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But Perez is beloved there, and he certainly has a great shot at the record.
Awesome, John. Great speaking to you tonight. We'll speak to you next week. As always, John Coppinger with the Cardboard Memories Major League Baseball Report. We're going to take a quick break on the other side. Really a thrill for me because I grew up, every day buying programs at, Shea Stadium and at the Ranger games, and they're all just filled with photographs by the amazing George Kalinsky. So keep it tuned right here. On the other side, George Kalinsky joins us.
Do you own a business? When is the last time you actually had a visit from or even spoke with your insurance representative? Did your current insurance agency sell to another firm or maybe merge, leaving you without the attention you deserve? Prince Associates is a provider of commercial insurance nationwide and represents some of the finest insurance carriers in the industry. Prince Associates has been representing commercial clients since 1965, and we continue to grow and offer our personal services in a competitive and ever-changing market. If you want back the insurance relationship you deserve, reach out to us, 516-822-6550. That's area code 516-822-6550. And ask for Leith or Craig, or find us on the web at www.princeins.com.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York. New York.
New York?
Welcome back to Sports Talk New York.
You still on medication, Mark?
Yeah, for quite a while now. But over the 365 Sportscast network, obviously you can listen to us on your iPhone, your Android, on your Alexa app, as well as streaming on the net on sportstalknylive.com. Joining us now is a man who has been the official photographer of Madison Square Garden for over half a century. His work has been exhibited at the Museum of Modern Art, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the International Center of Photography, the Olympus Plaza Gallery, as well as on huge billboards in New York City's Times Square, drawing the attention of millions of passersby every day. He is the author of 10 books, 1,000 covers, and photographed almost 10,000 events. He has been honored with the highest award you can win in photography industry with the PMDA's International Photographer of the Year, as well as many other awards. This coming month, he will add to that impressive list as he will receive the Basketball Hall of Fame Kurt Gowdy Award for his outstanding contributions to basketball. It is an absolute privilege to welcome Long Island's own Mr. George Kalinsky to Sports Talk New York. Welcome, George.
Thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure, and your build-up was very interesting. I'm saying to myself, that's me.
And
Mark does a lot of that. Usually even does more.
I had to leave a lot out because it's just the resume is impressive. But I have to tell you, all right, so I am a huge Seinfeld fan. And for me, it was just so fitting that your name is George, because your path to becoming the official photographer of Madison Square Garden just kind of reminded me of a George Costanza moment when he becomes, works for the Yankees. Can you tell our audience how a 1965 vacation and the Fifth Street Gym in Miami changed your life?
Well, I was in Florida on a vacation, a combination of vacation, and I was interviewing for a job as the sports and political cartoonist for the Miami Herald. And we were walking around Fifth Street downtown, and I saw Howard Cosell on a street corner, and I asked him what he was doing there, and he said, "I'm here to interview the champ." And at that moment, Muhammad Ali walked over to Cosell. They both shook hands, and they went into the Fifth Street Gym. This is all new to me, even though I was there, and so I wanted to follow them, and I ran into Angelo Dundee, who I knew because I read about him. I knew what he looked like, and I said, "I'd like to go in and take some photos." And he said, "Well, you can't go in unless you pay $1 to enter." And I said, it just came out of my mouth because at that point I was just a family photographer. I took pictures of my wife, my kids, and anybody who was basically part of my family. And so Angelo invites me into the gym, and then he says, "Where's your $1?" And I said, it just came out of my mouth. I said, "I'm the photographer of Madison Square Garden." And he looks at me, and he knows I'm not the photographer of Madison Square Garden. He looks at me and he says, "Okay, comedian, come on in." So I'm in the gym, and I got my camera, and I'm looking in the camera, and I see Ali's face, and I was like, it was a big deal for me to be in the same place, same room, same gym with Ali. But I took photos, and I went to the Miami Herald because Ali was the top of the news that day, and they took my film and they developed it. They put it over the wire service. And the next day, one of my pictures is all over the world. So I was pretty impressed, and I went to Madison Square Garden, and I spoke to John F.X. Condon, and Condon said, "If you have the chutzpah to come to me with one roll of film to be a photographer of the garden, I have the chutzpah to hire you." And that's how I became the photographer of the New York Knicks and the Rangers and Madison Square Garden.
It's such a different time, and it's so amazing. You would have a long-time relationship with and friendship with Muhammad Ali, and you went on to chronicle the build-up to the fight of the century. Ali Frazier won, and all of Ali's garden fights after that. How did that bond between the two of you help you to capture some of the most iconic photographs of Muhammad Ali?
Well, sometimes, chemistry is really important. When you win a championship in any sport, you have to have chemistry on the team. And same in photography. It's the chemistry between the photographer and the subject that he's taking. It could be that you just met this person for the first time, or you knew the person all your life. Ali and I had chemistry, and he loved what I was doing, and I loved what he was doing. He actually did several sketches, which you may have seen. They've been publicized. He liked to draw airplanes and things like that, but as long as he wrote his name on it, that was really valuable. But Ali and I became friendly because we understood each other, and we started to. You look at somebody and you don't even have to talk anymore. You just know what someone's thinking and what you want to do. And he was a showman. He was a great entertainer too, and he was a great father. He was, but he was, most importantly, he said he's a salesman, and everything he did, he wanted to sell tickets. And so I had I grew up in a retail business, so that was fine with me. But we just got to know each other, liked each other a lot, and it was just something that I never looked at him as heavyweight champion of the world. He never looked at me as a photographer. And as such, we looked at each other because we took photography, we painted, we drew, but most importantly, we spoke about whatever was going on in the day. And we just the chemistry. You can't say enough about it. And he was very instrumental and motivating for me to take photos of him, because he was such a showman. He was such a person that had he just knew what to do to make people either at ease or to move back, or he had all these elements of an actor on a Broadway stage.
Let me back up one second. You said the retail business. Is that the retail baby furniture business?
Yeah, my family had Kalinsky's, a juvenile furniture store in Hempstead, Long Island. And,
I think we both bought our kids' baby
that was
furniture
me.
there.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So before
My brother actually took over the business, and he did a great job.
That's so funny. Before you captured those famous photos of Ali and Frazier head-to-head, nose-to-nose at Joe's Philadelphia gym, you actually got in the ring with each of them from one round with your camera. What was that experience like, and what were you trying to capture, and how difficult was it to achieve?
What was I to achieve? In what way do you mean?
Artistically, was there something you were looking for? Was there?
Oh, okay. Artistically is a key word in what I do, because I went to Pratt. I learned design, and the learning of design was the biggest thing that I think that learning design at Pratt was one of the biggest things that happened for my career, because you really can't take consistently good pictures unless you know design. You know what the elements are, how to do a composition. If you have a simple paper and you're writing a composition that maybe only takes a page or two, you need design to go to make that flow through. And there's design in everything that's artistic. There's design in music. There's design in drawing. There's design in painting, and it goes on. And I knew the elements of design well because I learned them well.
George, this is A.J. Carter. You revolutionized boxing photography and, to some extent, sports photography in general by looking to shoot the athletes outside of their fields of play. So can you tell our audience about the shots you took of Roberto Duran as he trained in the Catskills, about how you came to shoot first Emil Griffith and then Joe Frazier nude in the shower?
Well, Joe Frazier was really a hell of a friend. Joe was probably the most honest man I ever met. I don't say that's necessarily a good thing, but in terms of Joe being so honest, because sometimes you can be too honest, and you let people take advantage of you. In Joe's case, he had a lot of that, but he was so loyal as a friend. I think he was the most loyal friend, most loyal most loyal and honest friend that I could ever have.
So how did you end up shooting him in the
He
shower?
doesn't know how to do anything but tell the truth.
So how do you end up taking pictures of him in the shower?
Well, the shower was something that was interesting to me beyond the fact that it was Joe Frazier. Using artistic elements like water. You can create a lot of art with water, arty pictures with water. You can just see how water flows down a stream. I saw how water flowed off Joe's face. So the shower became important not only to Joe, but I think I photographed almost every boxer that I photographed, which was a lot. And I like to take them in the shower because I was able to get the drops of water, which created an abstract picture, so to speak. And that's what my goal was, to get nice abstract pictures.
I mean, well before your time, as you think about it, ESPN does annually the body issue where it's a bunch of the athletes nude. It's also interesting to me because as a photographer, you're more able to capture the true moment, the true essence of an athlete or a performer. Whereas sports writers add some of their interpretations of the moment. Sometimes they might cause the subject, the athlete, to have negative feelings towards them. It seems the opposite with photographers. It's because you're really just capturing them. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why you're able to maintain so many relationships with players, including several Knicks who will join you in the Hall of Fame, like Willis Reed, Bill Bradley, and Clyde Frazier. How did those relationships help you get shots? Like, for instance, the iconic Jerry Lucas, Walt Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed, Phil Jackson, and Bill Bradley locker room shot, or the Willis Reed dramatic entrance in the finals?
Well, I've been pretty well blessed. I mean, luck is a very important part of this. You're in a certain position, like I was when this whole thing started with our coach Dell, and you just find yourself in the right position, luckily in the right position, in the right situation. So I do say that luck is a tool that is very important to me. However, you can reverse the situation with the picture and why I was in the right place at the right time. And when the Knicks won the championship, minutes prior to when you look at that picture of the five guys in the locker room with their hands up in victory, and you think about I thought about the beginning of the game, and as it was about to start, and Bill Bradley says, I want you to concentrate on me at the very end of the game because I'm going to jump on Willis Reed and we're going to have a really good time. And that was unusual for Bradley to speak that way. But at the end of the game, with about 5 seconds to go, 10 seconds to go, I started to get ready for that. And I don't see anything that relates to what Bill's talking about. But then all of a sudden, the Knicks win. And there was still 3 seconds to go with the game, as Bill says. But I photographed Bill jumping on Willis, and I probably could not have done that if I didn't know it was going to happen.
So that begs the other question. You've witnessed so many great moments in sports. As we just mentioned, the 70s finals, Knicks defeat the Lakers for the first NBA championship, the 86 World Series Mets against the Red Sox, the 94 Stanley Cup finals, Wayne Gretzky's final game, the Subway Series of 2000. As the seconds tick down and you're not sure where the final moment is going to take place, is there like a moment of anxiety and pressure? Like I can't like the athlete is in the moment. You're sitting there. Your job is to capture it. I can't imagine how much pressure that is. And how do you deal with that?
I never felt the pressure. What I felt is I got to get the shot, and whatever the situation might be. And I knew that I had people like ask me, what is it that you do to prepare for the game? What is it that you're looking for? Well, I'm looking for something that I don't know what it is. and that's actually harder to do. I'm not looking for something that someone told me ahead of time. I mean, the Bradley situation is different because that's unusual that he would say that, and that I was able to get that shot, because mostly I am not you're not in a position to say know exactly what's going to happen. So again, you have the luck and you have the opportunity to photograph somebody or some people or the group. It could be the whole crowd. You have the opportunity to photograph when you really don't know what's going to happen, but you just go with the flow. Jesse Orozco on his knees was facing me in the right and facing the right direction when I got that shot. I was luck. Orozco was facing the other way when he started off, and I said, "Oh no, I'm not going to get that shot." Then he turns around in a split second, and I get the shot, which was my favorite baseball play, my favorite baseball picture. But you said that I'm worried about. I have pressure on me. I consider it a lot of fun and part of the game, and I hope there's 5,000 photographers of the game, because I know that I'm going to get the best shot.
Was there ever a big moment that you missed? That you just didn't have the proper angle and that you regret?
Or the wrong
You're
lens?
raising a very good question, because I don't think that I missed any shot that was to at least get some part of it. That I don't think there's any shot that I really missed totally, and I've been I'm very lucky to be in that situation where luck goes my way.
Awesome. You've also photographed every major music icon of the last half century. How does that differ from sports? And there's the fact that at the Garden, most of those artists come in for a 3-4 night engagement. So maybe if you're there for the first show, you kind of know at what point in the concert Bruce Springsteen might crowd surf or Pete Townsend might destroy his guitar. Does that help? And what are the major differences between a sporting event and a musical concert?
There really isn't much. I've thought about that a lot, and I thought about it while I was doing it. There is not much difference between photographing Mick Jagger or Willie Mays. The big difference is Willie Mays just knows how to go after a fly ball better than Mick Jagger.
And he's probably younger, too.
The key to the whole thing is the emotion and the feeling, and what is the shot of the night, and that really is what I'm getting at when I say it doesn't matter if it's baseball or basketball. You need to get in somewhere in that game, somewhere in the concert, somewhere in whatever venue you're doing. You're going to have you should have a great shot. If not a great shot, then you're going to have the best possible moment that event will bring to you. And Sinatra once told me that you haven't performed unless you performed on the Garden stage, and he's so right that everyone wants to be in the Garden and to perform there and to photograph these people, the entertainers and the athletes and the political and people and the Pope and religious people like the Pope. There you have all kinds of things, sort of tools and toys that you play with. You have to put them together into a good photograph.
So, you mentioned Sinatra. Of the many celebrities you shot over the years, it seems you had a special relationship with Sinatra. How did that come about, and what's your favorite Sinatra story?
I have a lot of Sinatra stories, but the shortest one is when he came into my office one day, and I didn't know him at the time, and he just walked into my office. He extended his hand and he said, "Hi, I'm Frank Sinatra. I hear you're a great photographer, and I want you to tell me all you know about photography in 5 minutes." And that 5 minutes turned out to be lunch at Patsy's, and then at the end of 3 hours, I think I told him everything I knew, but he told me everything he knew, so to speak. And we just had a great time at lunch, and we talked a lot about photography, but we also talked about his personal life. And somehow it just happened very quickly that we got into those kind of conversations, and he was really terrific for around 40 years of my life. He was a great friend, and I will always treasure the things I learned from him. Like, you have to be loyal. That's where Joe Frazier's situation comes in. Sinatra taught me loyalty, and that was important. And I learned from everybody. I try to learn from everybody, and I don't necessarily think I'm the know-it-all. And I enjoy learning. And Sinatra, who happens to be he's somebody that is a perfectionist. He learns too, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to learn how to, like when he came into my office to learn photography, we spent a lot of time after that. And he picked it up really well because he wanted to be a perfectionist at that. And his dream was always to be the heavyweight champion of the world. He couldn't be that, and he had a concert called The Main Event, and that sort of took the place of the heavyweight champions of the bout as heavyweight champion of the world. He was the heavyweight crooner of the world, and he had this concert called The Main Event Sinatra, and it was his rendition of having a fight.
So perhaps your most unusual book came about almost 20 years ago, and it was called Rabbis, the Many Faces of Judaism, and includes stories and photos of 100 leading influential rabbis. So as we approach Rosh Hashanah tomorrow night, can you tell our audience how the book came about and what you learned from that effort?
I was always interested in rabbis, a lot more interested in rabbis than other people in other walks of life, because I thought that the rabbis had the answers. And I was always, as I alluded to before, I was always looking for answers. I was always trying to find out what makes this happen and why this went on. And so I went with my grandfather every Friday night to services, and as well as Saturday morning. But it was the Friday night services that I really liked to sit with him, because the rabbi gave this big speech. And while he did that on Saturday also, it just seemed like that was more important on Friday night. And so I learned from them. And as time went on, I got to get the idea that maybe I can do a book on rabbis, because I saw no one that really ever did a book on rabbis before. So I traveled all over the world, taking pictures of rabbis, and it was a great experience. And it was an experience that you start realizing that rabbis are like anybody else; they're not different, and it's a very interesting group of people. But I'm not religious as such, but I'm an observer of Judaism, and I believe in God, and I feel that this is a good moment to say that.
It's also an amazing cover too. If the cover alone is worth the price of the book. Since 1966, how have the advancements in equipment changed the way you work, and what are some of the major differences in the way the final products come out because of the new equipment?
Well, the biggest thing that happened was the coming about of the digital camera. So, I mean, it got to this all started very quickly, actually.
think we might have lost him. What? You'll try to get him back, Mike?
You just lose them?
Yeah, I think we lost him. Try to get him back. Fascinating
So
stuff.
the cover, the rabbi's book, it just struck me as, the cover is interesting. And it's profiles of 100 rabbis.
Right. It's interesting because I took photography in college, and one of the projects was to pick a profession and just chronicle it and in black and white. And I picked gasoline attendants back in the day. You could take pictures of random strangers. Now you can't even do that. But just fascinating, the study of one type of profession, and especially rabbis, and he traveled the world. So it is excellent. All right. So we have him back. So we were talking about the changes of equipment and how that changed the final products.
Well, as I said before, the digital camera was a big deal in terms of the biggest thing. For example, you had things like automatic focusing. I had a focus as well as every other photographer had a focus. And when you had a lot of things happen that were pretty quick. So it wasn't that easy to focus. And then you have other aspects of the camera. And then the digital comes along. And I remember photographing a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, and kids in the kids thought it was so much fun to see they're actually in the camera. So you couldn't fool anybody at that point because everybody you photographed, let me see. They don't do it as much today, but
in the beginning, right?
The selfies or what is a big deal.
So before we let you go, you mentioned about the Jesse Orozco being maybe your favorite baseball picture. What is there one photograph that's your absolute favorite?
I've thought about that many times, and people have asked me that many times, but I have had the luck, again, I have had the privilege of being in a place like Madison Square Garden or Citi Field or Yankee Stadium or any of the places where people perform. And I am just privileged to be able to take so many different things. I don't think I would like it I don't think I'd like what I'm doing as much as if I had to take just one thing. Like if someone assigned me to Ali, I think Ali is probably one of the greatest subjects to photograph. But I don't know if I'd feel that way if I could only photograph Muhammad Ali. If I was put in a situation where that's the only person I can photograph, or I think the only advantage that someone would have photographing just one person, so to speak, would be the President of the United States. And I saw the White House photographer and the documentary they did on him, which was absolutely fabulous.
Yep.
I actually cried after I saw it because I know what he went through. I know how quick you have to be and how dedicated you have to be, and nothing stands in your way from getting the shot.
Yeah, absolutely a great documentary. So the one thing, but before I let you go, that I was thinking is, I guess
I'm not hearing you.
Oh, the one thing. Can you hear me now, George?
We haven't. Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
George, can you hear me? I think we lost him.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So before we let you go, the one thing I was thinking about, 2 weeks ago, I saw the Van Gogh exhibit, and I was thinking, when I was doing the research for this interview, how cool if they did something, because you have so many photographs, that would be an absolute awesome exhibit. And I think every sports fan would definitely pay to see that. So I think, you should talk to your agent about that, because that would be something amazing. And I just have to say, being a Ranger and Met fan my entire life.
I actually had several large exhibits, and one of them was at the New York Historical Society.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty big exhibit I had. And I remember feeling that on the other side of the wall where my pictures hung was Picasso's Picasso exhibit. And I'm saying to myself, it doesn't get any better than this. That I'm on one side of the wall and Picasso's on the other side of the wall.
Oh,
it was a really it was a large and good exhibit that I shared with Leroy Neiman. And it was I was very happy with that and very touched.
That's certainly great company right there.
But the Picasso thing was terrific.
Yeah. So in closing, I have to say, being a Ranger and Met fan my entire life, I must have seen tens of thousands of George Kalinsky photographs in my Met and Ranger programs that my dad would get me at every game. So this was an absolute thrill and privilege for us. I want to congratulate you on the Kurt Gowdy Award, and thanks so much for your time tonight. More importantly, thank you for capturing the magic that only happens at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor and pleasure to be on with you guys, and I hope we do it again.
Any day, I'll reach out to you for sure. Thanks so much, George.
Okay, my pleasure, Mark. Be well.
You got it, George Kalinsky, one of the most famous photographers in the world.
You've seen his, if you don't know his name, you've seen his pictures.
Absolutely.
But you have to know his name.
All right, quick break on the other side. AJ's Sunday papers, then we'll round out the show with the NBA and the NFL.
Right as the season's about to begin.
Yep, exactly. If you're a company looking to increase your visibility, to make sure your promotional materials get packaged in the most attractive way and distributed most efficiently, then you need to call in PIMS. Whether you're launching a new product and need to assemble customized influencer packages or looking for a more efficient way to manage your inventory and collateral, PIMS involvement helps maximize the impact of your brand's performance. For more than 30 years, PIMS has been helping companies get their message out to the right people, offering personalized distribution services and full-scale inventory management solutions. PIMS works its magic on 3 continents, backed by 350,000 square feet of warehouse space. If you're looking for experience, PIMS is it. They've shipped more than 13 million packages and elevated more than 8,000 brands. Want to know more? Check them out on the web, PIMSinc.com. That's PIMSINC.com, and read testimonials from their satisfied clients. That's PIMS, the first name in marketing support.
You can read it in the Sunday papers. Read it in the Sunday papers.
So that's probably Joe Jackson's probably somebody that George Kalinsky's taking a photo of at Madison Square Garden. Sunday papers, what do you got for us, AJ?
Okay, well, my fascination with mascots.
Oh, by the way, I got to commend you. Literally, I don't know if you caught that, but AJ actually did a live mic drop. He just dropped the mic during the interview.
Is okay. Unintentional. My appreciation and fascination with college mascots. And today's
on a little weird, but
so today we're going to talk about a company called Logo Products. They do logo merchandise, logo quality products, and they decided to do a survey of college mascots, and they surveyed 1,200 people across the U.S. to score mascots. We won't look at who's got the best mascots because the stir's created over who were the creepiest, and the reaction that caused. One of the creepiest was the Notre Dame leprechaun, and Notre Dame went so crazy about this, fighting it, saying no. Arizona State's Aztecs, the Stanford tree, the Demon Deacon from Wake Forest.
I think that one's creepy.
That the Florida State, the Native American mascot. So you're taking a look.
This is college though. This wasn't
this is college mascots. And
because what was it was Niles. Remember Niles, the Islanders?
Right.
I don't even
know
what
was the one he scared young children. Right.
Yeah.
Like
he was creepy.
A lumberjack type of guy, a woodsman. The favorite college mascot was Northwestern University's Willie the Wildcat, Pouncer from the University of Memphis, Southpaw and Miss Paula from the University of South Alabama. What I can see here is stuffing the ballot box. With no references to Moravian.
It's not Amos the Greyhound?
Amos the Greyhound. But here it is. I don't know. Do you think the Stanford tree is that creepy? Do you think the leprechaun is that offensive?
I don't think the leprechaun's that offensive. Listen, everything today is offensive. You're going to offend someone with something somehow.
And what's surprising most about this is a company that does logo merchandise.
Right.
I got to tell you, probably the leprechaun, whether it's for Notre Dame or for the Boston Celtics, has got to be a big seller.
Yeah. It's also a huge tattoo. I can't tell you how many Boston Celtics leprechaun tattoos I've seen over the years.
As long as you don't have any. Like, you don't have any, do you?
Tattoos?
Leprechaun tattoos.
No.
Okay, we feel better.
Yeah. All right. And I'm sure Chaim does not have any leprechaun
We know
tattoos.
for a fact that Chaim does
Can
not
we
have any
confirm that
tattoos.
right now?
Yeah, no, I can confirm, guys. No leprechaun tattoos here.
Okay. All right. So the Nets, listen, as AJ is wont to say, they basically missed out on a finals because of a shoe size, but they've done some retooling of the roster a little bit. Fill us in on a couple of things. You got LaMarcus Aldridge coming back. You got a trade of DeAndre Jordan. So a couple of parts coming and going. Tell us a little bit about what the Nets are doing and why you think they're doing it.
Well, the why is no mystery. What the Nets essentially did in this trade they pulled off with Detroit was they saved themselves a whole lot of money. It cost them a whole bunch of second-round picks as well. So it doesn't necessarily save them cap space, but a lot of money comes off of the books of DeAndre Jordan. The deals they made save them so. I mean, it's not going to matter salary cap-wise. Kevin Durant's still going to get a max contract. They're still going to pay their guys. But, supplementing them with low-cost veterans, depth pieces, LaMarcus Aldridge is not going to cost them an arm and a leg. And when Marcus Aldridge was there, he was a post presence that opposing teams had to contend with. And this space the floor, dribble and shoot offense that the Nets with Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden can really, Joe Harris as well, can really kind of feature and bring to the table. There's now a post threat that can pass out of the paint, that can demand that, somebody stay home and not collapse, not cover, whoever the free man driving to the paint is. And it keeps opposing teams honest. Paul Millsap's another one. Veteran free agent, cheap, but what it provides is it provides veteran leadership, no high maintenance, no kids that have to be tutored or brought along. And for a win-now team, they have depth pieces for a team that, frankly, lost because of both shoe size and health.
So, Chaim, are you concerned, though? This is, in many ways, a young man's league. They've gotten older with all of this. Are you concerned in terms of a long season, a full-size season, full-length playoffs, that even all these complementary pieces getting older is going to be a problem?
I'd say that if you asked or if you took a poll around the NBA, the two strongest teams in terms of favorites for a championship are the Los Angeles Lakers, who don't tell LeBron, but they're old, and the Brooklyn Nets. And these are the two teams who probably would have been in the finals, probably would have won. One of them would have won the finals had they remained healthy. What today's NBA has kind of showcased is that you don't have to be a great regular season team. Frankly, you barely have to show up for the regular season. The Nets famously sacrificing a chance at home court advantage against the Sixers, just so long as they can keep their guys healthy. Age, I don't necessarily think is a factor. It's more just a matter of timing. Their guys are going to get hurt. As long as it's not in the playoff time, you're in really good shape. I think these are, again, you're looking at the Lakers and you're looking at the Nets as the favorites in terms of an NBA championship.
Yeah, and I think what the Nets did, even though, like you said, AJ, they added age, they added versatility, where all about quote-unquote load management. Now they're able to do that because the guys don't, like Harden doesn't have to play those minutes this season. Like I am said, you don't even have to show up in the regular season. I mean, listen, they'll listen, because you have those three guys. I think they want to prove something this year. I think they want to go out and I think they want to dominate all season long. But it's going to be incumbent on the coach to watch those minutes, use these pieces, which are some really good pieces, right, Chaim? I mean, these are
good pieces.
Really
Okafor's
good pieces.
A good piece.
Yeah, Okafor. I mean, granted, he's on the tail end of his career, right. But I think this could be just sometimes when you get the right mix, it just works. And I looking at what they've done, I'm really impressed.
So, Mark, given what happened with you in the past 10 days, when you see that Aldridge is cleared to play by a doctor, does that concern you? Are you worried about that?
Listen, I mean, I'm almost cleared to go back to everything but my Peloton. So, no. I mean, the advances in medical – listen, what I went through, if I had this 20 years ago, it would have been a triple bypass. Instead, it's 3 stents, and my arteries are 100% open. And I'm in the best – cardiac health I've been in, since I'm probably 15. So no, that doesn't. And listen, he's got the top medical guys, advising him and things like that. So no, that doesn't concern me at all.
This is also a guy who made very clear last season that when there's a concern, I mean, really, he shut it down immediately. This wasn't a Chris Bosh situation where he was scratching and clawing and saying, no,
Right.
don't send me home. And they had, sorry, buddy, this is for your own good. He shut it down real quick, and he went, listen, I want that chip. I want that ring. I want it desperately, but health comes first. This isn't a guy who's playing games with his own health and safety. He's obviously been well advised. He's obviously been well taken care of, and everybody seems to be in agreement. And the Nets wouldn't take that kind of risk either. There's no benefit for anybody if there were any real risk involved. And should something come up again, I have no doubt that there will be. I mean, I hope it doesn't come to it, but that Marcus Aldridge would make the same decision, family first.
Absolutely. Chaim, have yourself a happy, healthy New Year. We'll speak to you next Sunday.
And thank you to you guys as well.
You got it. Chaim Talbot here each and every week with the NBA Report. Quick break, and the other side, we'll round out the show with Jay Retcher and the NFL Report, the Capco NFL Report. So keep it tuned right here to Sports Talk New York.
Decolator Cohen & DePrisco, LLP, is pleased to introduce their website, policeofficersrighttosue.com, as an educational and informative site designed to instruct members of the law enforcement community of their civil rights in line-of-duty accidents. Many law enforcement members are not aware of their rights to sue and fail to bring lawsuits within a specific time frame, thereby forfeiting their ability to seek rightful compensation against those parties that cause officers to be injured. PoliceofficersRightToSue.com provides successful past results of line-of-duty lawsuits. These examples range from officers being provided with inadequate equipment, RMP accidents, slip and falls, and station house mishaps. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, they can contact DCD at policeofficersrighttosue.com or at 1-800-901-1LAW. That's policeofficersrighttosue.com or 1-800-901-1LAW. The Phoenix Tube Company Incorporated is among the country's leading manufacturers of structural ornamental stainless steel tubing, rectangles, squares, and processed flat bars. The company takes pride in its everyday commitment to quality and customer service. The philosophy of the company has been and continues to be to support the growth of the stainless tube market through distribution and service centers throughout the country. Ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing is used for a wide variety of aesthetic and mechanical products where superior finish and corrosion resistance are required. Some products manufactured include tubing for mirror bracket arms, boat rails and ladders, washroom grab bars, swimming pool rail products, medical equipment, automotive step bars and trimming, as well as structural framing for food processing equipment. For a quote or for more information on how the Phoenix Tube Company can meet your ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing needs, visit them on the web at phoenixtube.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-526-2124.
And welcome back to 365 Sportscast, Sports Talk New York on this Sunday night. Really thrilled to be back in the studio. It's great to be here. It's great to say this. It's time now for the Capco NFL Report with Jay Retcher. Fall will be here before you know it. It's time to get those windows and doors ready to let the fresh and crisp fall air in and those bugs out with the Clearview retractable screen. Clearview retractable screen system comes standard with a lifetime warranty and the patented speed reducer so it won't snap back. You get the luxury of a screen door and a sleek profile design without the hassle of a bulky storm door or sliding screen door. Call 631-440-1100 for a free estimate. That's 631-440-1100 or visit them on the web at clearviewlongisland.com. All right, so Jay, we're looking at the Jets. We've talked about this a couple of weeks. Zach has been okay, in
a controlled circumstance.
Right, controlled circumstances, mistake-free, which is what you want out of your young quarterback. But there's no safety net, and Cam Newton is released. I get the many reasons why maybe you don't want Cam Newton. I get the vaccine hesitancy with Cam Newton and some of the things that are on the line if your team get test positive. But wouldn't that? I mean, aren't the New York Jets the perfect landing spot for Cam Newton right now?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
What's the start?
For a multitude of reasons. One, I mean, it's almost like with anything. We go back to even the Tim Tebow days. You weigh the pros and the cons. And when you look at a guy like Cam Newton, obviously judged by his preseason performance, Bill Belichick and the guys were not too sold I still don't think his arm is right after having that surgery. He's just not the same guy that he was when he went, led the Panthers to a 15-1 record and took them to the Super Bowl. And this is a guy that's going to come with a lot of fanfare as well. And that's something that you saw it even when Tim Tebow was with the Jets as well. You don't want all that fanfare to your backup. So, there's just a lot. He's a polarizing figure in the locker room. I understand you want a backup, but I don't know. I see Cam Newton being able to
what you want, though, Mark, also is a backup whose game is similar to your starter. You don't want somebody whose game is different.
But you don't really know what your starter is going to be like in the NFL, number one. But you're talking about a guy who's been at the Super Bowl, a guy who was an MVP.
Yeah, I'm with Jay.
He's only 32 years old.
I'm with Jay on this one. I think there's too much baggage and too much changing. I do have a question, Jay, on this.
Wait. Let's start on that, though. I'll agree with you guys. To me, the same thing. There's a lot of baggage with him. But you can't show me a team that's had a rookie quarterback without a veteran presence as a backup.
That's a different situation. So story. That's not Cam Newton.
But then who is it?
You want somebody who's going to start. Jay, Cam Newton's situation raises a more interesting question to me, and that is roster decisions made because of COVID and vaccination. So as we look ahead, how much of a factor do you think COVID is going to play over the course of the entire season, with teams worried about players losing practice, about having to forfeit games? As you see what they did in their cutdowns, how much of a factor was COVID? How much factor do you think will play going forward?
Well, I think COVID is going to, and it's funny because talking to more and more people, and a buddy of mine down here in Tampa, Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times, had a one-on-one with Tom Brady last week, and Tom Brady came out and said that he thought that COVID would be even more of a factor this year. And I do think it is going to play a part in, if a guy's kind of teetering on, making the roster or not, I think that will be used as a strike against him, fair or foul, however that may be, however people think. And you got to go back, going back to the Cam Newton thing. Listen, he's been a starter. This isn't a guy that's used to being a backup and holding a clipboard. And, this is a guy that's, he's trying to rally the troops. He's ready to play. And you're right. The way he plays, he's still got that run first kind of type mentality. As even, I know, ironic as it is with the quarterback, but it doesn't, I wouldn't want him as the backup because he hasn't had that experience.
He's waiting for the first starter to get down anyway.
Yes, that's exactly right. Him and another guy too to keep your eye on is Phillip Rivers, and I keep hearing his name pop up. I know he's coaching high school.
I saw a story this week. Phillip Rivers is coaching high school. He's building a house down there. He's perfectly happy with being retired. I think he's not going to come back. If you take a look, I read the whole story about him coaching, and I think he's moving on to the next phase of his life.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The Jets, to me, definitely need that veteran presence. We got about a minute left. Real quickly, the Giants' health. Should we be concerned? Kenny Galladay, Slayton, Ingram.
Any more than their offensive line.
And what are you going to get at, Saquon? Everyone says, yeah, he's good, but he's coming off of a pretty horrific knee injury, and we don't know what we're going to get at him. Should Giant fans be concerned?
Yes, I think so. I think it all starts in the trenches with all the good teams. And I'm less worried actually about Saquon and more worried about the offensive line because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who's back there. You could have Barry Sanders and Eric Dickerson back there. If your offensive line isn't solid, guys, you're going to be in big trouble. And the Giants have trouble rushing the passer as well. I think they're in big trouble, man. The closer we get to the season, the less optimistic I get for the Giants.
I'll say this. I will go out on a limb here. I will say the Jets will have a better record than the Giants this year. Jay, what do you think?
Listen, what's funny? I was actually thinking that today, and I go, no, that can't be it, right? With them drafting second overall. But listen, I think if the Giants start bad, it could get really bad. And then heads are going to roll. I wouldn't be surprised if they're out of it by week 7 or 8 and they start shipping off some of the veterans, the Blake Martinez's, the Logan Ryans of the world, giving them the chance to win, play in the postseason. As I said, the closer we get to the regular season, the less optimistic I get for the Giants.
We'll make our total predictions next week as the NFL gets underway. Unbelievable. Jay, we'll speak to you next week, and have a happy new year.
Phils. You too, guys.
Jay Retcher here each and every week with the NFL Report. It kind of puts a wrap on tonight. Really, like I said, thrilled to be here, thrilled to be anywhere.
Right.
Good stuff. Next week, Steve Valiquette will join us, New York Ranger post-game, and unbelievable analytics with the NHL. So we'll talk to him. So AJ will probably take a nap during that.
Right.
That's basically it. Have a great one. Stay tuned.
You
too. BT Talks Baseball up next. former guest of ours, one of your favorites, Dyer Brown, joins him to talk about the Field of Dreams Classic and stuff like that. And it's always a good listen. So keep it tuned right here to the 365 Sportscast Network. If you haven't done it already, make sure you download either the iPhone app, the Android app, and the Alexa app. And we'll see everyone next week. Have a good one and have a great holiday for all those that are celebrating.